you have a change of heart, wanna make a brand new start. You've been living on the edge with forever as a pledge. No more giving it up, turning me loose, setting us free. Baby, keeping it real, cause we got what takes for sure. There's no turning back anymore. Can you see it's all a game? Life goes on all the same. If at first you don't succeed, all you've got is all you need. If you believe, then stake your claim.
Hello, Rise and Thrivers. Welcome to the last Monday night in February, and we are so excited that you're here tonight. Just in case you need a little reminder of who we are Rise and Thrive Together, a vibrant community committed to educate, empower, and equip you to get the results that you want through real talk, taking real actions. And we welcome you. I was out last week, and I feel like I've been out for a month, and although still a little slight under the weather, I feel well enough to be on and so excited to be with my favorite co-host and my dear friend, Raquel. Hey, Raquel, nice to see you.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I'm a little tired tonight. We had a blizzard here in this part of the country that I don't mind. I got
9 states. 9 states have been impacted. I was definitely thinking of you. So everybody out on that eastern side, we are really hoping that you are safe, that you have everything that you need, and you're supported by friends, family, and community, that you have a community that helps you rise and thrive for whatever reason. If somehow or another you get to this message, know you're not alone. Know there's tons of resources. And because you're part of the Rise and Thrive tribe, feel free to reach out to Raquel and I at info@Rise and Thrive Together. You know, put in a question, put in a, hey, I'm thinking of a resource, whatever that is, and we'll do the best that we can to provide resources for you. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about here because whatever I say is not what you guys are dealing with. So Florida's great. We're having our cold spell. So that's where we're at. But let's just get right into the heart of the matter. I'm excited. This has been an incredible February. It's gone fast. I can't believe next week we're going to start our March theme as it keeps on flowing.
I think February was long.
To me, I'm like, too much to zip by. Zip by. So I'm just like taking a breath, and I've been sick. Like, here's what I got for the heart of the matter before we bring on our guest. It's so interesting when we always talk about if you don't do the things that really matter to you, and you start doing those consistently and really build that muscle on it, God's going to kind of give you that push to say, sorry, you need to deal with it. And I've put off something for a while, right? Like for a while, I'm like, oh, put that off. It's not my sinuses, what I do, but I put off something else that I think is the underlying cause. And that is now scheduled to double check that while we get through this whole double ear infection, sinus infection. And if you hear me going like this once in a while, I still sound like I'm in a can, like coming down from a plane. And I have continuous ringing in my ear.
Wow.
It's really funny. I have learned how much I don't rest as I think, or whatever rest looks like. I have no patience. Surprise, people who are watching me. Chatting that.
I don't think they're surprised. So let me just say it, because they may not know you're being sarcastic. So I'm going to help them out.
Yeah. Raquel's like, no. So super fun. Hey, Courtney, thanks for being on. I'm super excited. So yes, just ready to get into this topic and bring up our amazing guests. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Here we go. Here we got this amazing special guest tonight. Her name is Caroline, if I say your last name, Cuneo. How do you say it, Raquel? Do you know how to say her last name?
No, I would say Cuneo.
Cuneo. All right. So if we said it wrong, Caroline, you let us know. But we are super excited to bring her on tonight. She has 20 years of experience in interpersonal and intercultural communications. She's especially attuned to the nuances of family dynamics and emotional safety. She holds a bachelor's degree in communications and a master's in marriage and family therapy from the National University. She has 5 years of experience in family mediation, including co-parenting, separation, divorce, and end-of-life care. And she integrates mindfulness-informed techniques and somatic awareness to support emotional regulation and healing. She uses her meditation and grounding practices to help clients reconnect with themselves and their values. So whether you're navigating a life's transition or healing from trauma, or seeking a more fulfilling relationship, Caroline offers a warm, structured space to explore, grow, and move forward. And with that, we are so excited to bring on Caroline.
Hey, Caroline, welcome to Rise and Thrive Together. How are you?
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So did we say your name
felt
right?
like a little kid. I was off screen and I felt like I got caught doing something wrong and I flew back on.
Actually, last name was no problem. It's Cuneo. So actually, you were pretty close.
I see. It takes a village. It takes a village.
That's right.
So welcome to Rise and Thrive Together. We're in episode 148, Caroline. That's 148 weeks in a row. So to the heart of the matter, we are really committed to this whole theme of Rise and Thrive Together. It takes a village, and we're out to empower and educate and equip people to have the life that they want, right? But through real talk and real actions.
Well, we're all here.
That's it. While we're here. So we
Mhm.
are bringing you on in this topic about all these amazing background that you have. So I'm really excited and just ready to jump right in. And,
Before we jump in, I've got two questions. I need clarification. On your bio, Caroline, you have what's an alternative dispute resolution professional?
So we are specialists that have training in mediation, facilitation, negotiation, and under mediation, we also deal with victim offender mediation, restorative justice. So like if you have someone who's in a prison and they're wanting to reconcile with the family of the victim, then that's kind of where we step in to help facilitate that forgiveness and the process of just moving forward.
Okay, cool. And second question, and then I promise I'll let you do your thing. What's the difference between a licensed associate marriage and family therapist and just a regular licensed and marriage and family therapist? You have an A, you have the associate.
Yes. So as an associate, that means we're still covered under supervisors at the clinic that we work for. Whereas when you're an LAMFT, you are your own individual therapist.
Gotcha. All right, great. So let's clarify that up. Now, show is yours, heart of the matter. You deal a lot with that in your work, your area of expertise. So tell us how big, I'm just going to jump in with the big question. How big is communication, or how important is it in a relationship, whether you're in a relationship with another person or yourself? Like, how big is this thing called communication?
So I went into interpersonal communication with the sole understanding that communication is primary to all of our relationships. From the language that we use, reflecting, the way that we view a parent-child relationship, a couple relationship, a sibling relationship. Communication lies at the heart of that, because all of our understanding that we have and our perspectives were developed through the language that we're using.
That's interesting. I want to dig into that a little bit more, right? Because so let's go into this, because you're talking about per person, and Raquel also threw in there even for self, right? Mm-hmm. So you say the language that we're using. So share a little bit more in your profession / what you want to share about that. Because I
Well,
was like, what do you mean, like the language you're using? I'm talking to you right now. I'm talking to you in the language that I'm using. What does that mean about my relationship with my daughter, my husband, and the communication, and why is that important?
so when we're looking at our relationships and those relationships being part of a larger community, right? Okay, so there is an idea called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which hinges on the idea of linguistic relativity. Linguistic relativity tells us that, language determines thought, language determines our perspectives. Okay, so when we look at our primary relationships as children, we're taught communication patterns through the language that is or is not used between us and our parents, us and our siblings. That forms our understanding of communication patterns that then follow us into adulthood. So whether it's work relationships, an intimate relationship, a friend relationship, those communication patterns, like we talked about, they're not existing in a vacuum, right? We don't one day wake up and say, oh, well, this is the way I understand things. We understand things the way that we understand them because we've got a lifetime of experiences that taught us how to communicate with other people.
So you mean at the age of 5, I already have a lifetime of experiences that has taught me how to communicate with others?
You're still learning at the age of 5, but you're watching the way that everyone in your family communicates with one another and with you. So even with the child's understanding, we're still observing, right? It's like Bandura's social learning theory. We see things and we're conditioned to behave a certain way because that's what we're observing in other people that are in our immediate area.
I just, you know what? So one is we got to come into language here for our viewers. I love all the fun, we all got our degrees, but I want to make it simplistic, as simplistic as can be. So what I just heard for you was so I have a daughter who's 9.5 years old, and everything, the way she is communicating is based on everything that she has already sort of absorbed from being around my husband, myself, her environment, school, and everything else. Oh, I'm laughing because I'm just laughing. Because it's just funny. I was having a conversation with another mom about this. I know, I see in myself how I have to work on my communication patterns because she just picks up that, sarcastic, like Raquel was sharing with the people before we started. And, straight up, to the heart of things. And because they're young, I don't have a filter always because I just feel like it's real talk. I do real talk. I don't do, and sometimes I'm just shocked. Sometimes I'm shocked. What? How dare she? But I realize it's because of what she's picked up for me. So is that sort of an example?
That is, but when you're talking about the way that she's reacting and being sarcastic, so when they're at that age too, it's not just the family relationships, you even said, it's the relationships they develop at school with teachers, the relationships they develop with their peers, both inside and outside of school. All of those influence who they become as communicators when they reach adulthood. So no, it's not just you, and it's not just your husband or anybody in your family. It's the things that they're picking up and on outside in the macro environment, outside of the household.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a big giant interest. Yeah, but go ahead, Raquel.
No, I want to know if it's all the stuff inside the house people I associate with outside when I'm a kid. What happens when I'm an adult and I still talk like a kid? I still communicate like a kid. I have tantrums.
Well, then that means that the communication patterns within your family were not teaching you how to mature into adulthood, teaching you the skills that you needed, to interact with other people, like we're interacting now on a professional level, or even interacting at that higher cognitive level that most adults have. It's emotional dysregulation in a way because you were probably growing up in a chaotic environment where you felt that you had to maybe just not communicate as much and kind of keep to yourself. So when you grow into adulthood, you're going to be more reactive because you were never taught through communication a way to help regulate your emotions.
So how do we stop that?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I get what you're saying. You're saying, listen, if that's all you knew as a kid, that's what you're going to go into adulthood with. That's great. But what if one day I'm like, I don't want to have these tantrums anymore. I want to be better. Like, what does that take?
I mean, from some of the couples I've worked with, some of them have come to me, quite frankly, like beginning their relationship, right? Like, and they're both saying, well, why can't the other person understand things the way that I understand things? So basically, you're teaching the adults, the way that like a family system would teach them as a child, right? So you're saying, okay, well, not everybody has the same perspective because we all have different environments that we grew up in. Not everybody's going to respond the same way because it was the interactions we had, both inside and outside of the household. And you have to retrain your brain to think about how to communicate with that person to a level that supports one another. So right now, I've worked with people that everything is very accusatory, right? So it's making the you statements. You did this, you did that. And when you're talking about the tantrums, well, the person on the other end of that, they get defensive and they emotionally, react to it. So it's like one of the skills I teach people is using the I versus you statements.
Mm.
That teaches you emotional maturity, which if you're emotionally mature, then what you're going to communicate in a more loving, supportive, collaborative manner. So rather than sitting there and saying, well, you said this, or you did that, or you didn't do this, it's things like, I was really hurt because it would have meant a lot to me if you had come over to me and apologized, or it really would have mattered to me more if you had maybe focused on like doing the dishes instead of going and sitting down, watching TV after dinner. It would have shown a lot more respect and validation for my feelings if you had just listened to me. But it's if you make a you statement, it's making it secondary to the I statements because you want to convey what you're feeling and what you're thinking, because at the end of the day, you can only control what your reaction is, right? You can't control your partner. You can't control your child, in some cases. You can't control anyone else but yourself and the way you respond.
Those I statements sound really good, but at some point you got to use that word you.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's finding the way to use the word you in a vulnerable manner, if that makes sense. Because like, if you go to your partner and you say, I'm just really feeling like emotionally distant right now. It would really help if you could just give me a hug. It would really help if you could just tell me that, everything's going to be okay. It's saying, this is what I need from you rather than you did this or you did that. It's asking for things in a supportive, vulnerable manner.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of, what we talk about, Raquel, when we talk about the blame game, right? We're out there pointing our finger at somebody. Mm-hmm. So we're just starting with ourselves first and sharing about what we're feeling rather than saying, you did this, this, and this, mm-hmm. You, blah, 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 and your fault, when it's like you're being responsible for something that you might have not got to the heart of the matter of for yourself, mm-hmm. right? Like being able to really communicate like, hey, I feel this way. And it would really make a difference if you can give me a hug kind of thing. I've got somebody on here that, has been sharing, and I want to just clarify, guys, we're being very general here. We're not getting into deep situations with regards to, some of the things that we're talking about. Domestic violence and those type of things are very, I think, different than being very general when we're talking about how we're brought up about the communication. Now that's important because if you're in a very specific, if you grew up in a very abusive, home, and that's all that you heard, and was there, that's reflected out there, and then it continues as an adult because you find that relationship, that's a whole different thing. So I kind of want to just put that out there. Have you say something very brief about that for me, Caroline, so we can just support anybody who needs extra resources, go to your website to reach out to you. But is there anything you can say around that?
Well, for instances like, domestic violence, we as professional therapists strongly encourage both partners, if it's not already court mandated, to go and seek individual therapy first, because depending on the level of violence within the relationship, it's not healthy for the couple or the therapist to be seen as a unit. until each partner is receiving the assistance that they need working on their own individual concerns.
Okay. Awesome. Anything that you want to throw in there, Rock? Because I just wanted to get that out there. It's like we're being very general, guys. We're not
Well,
going to be
what I want to add on to is, even though you may have grown up in a household where there were always arguments, there was violence, please don't feel like all hope is lost and you can never change.
No.
Because that could not be further from the truth.
That's therapy. I mean, that's what we're here. We are here to walk with you on that journey to healing, because nothing is static, nothing is permanent. I hate the phrases always, never, forever, because there is none of that when you have the opportunity to grow in therapy.
I'm curious why you don't like the word forever.
I don't like the word forever because I think when I've had some people come to me, they'll say, well, it's been like this forever. You know, I can't get my partner to change. You know, it's going to be like this forever. Well, how do you know it will be forever? Because if they're sitting here with you today and they're willing to work on the relationship just like you are, then that means they're committed to change. So that negates the idea of forever.
Okay, I could play devil's advocate.
Do it.
Because I want to say, if they say they'll be like this forever, then yeah, they will be. Why? Because that's the world that you're creating. And even if this person makes a change, you will be so conditioned to seeing that one way of them. You're going to be like, well, they want something, so now they're trying to be nice. So what about those folks?
Those are the people that I would, and I suggest this to a lot of the couples that I see that have their own respective concerns from, you know, childhood on. That's where individual therapy comes in, because you have to be able to learn to see people at more than just face value before you can, you know, move forward with repairing the relationship, if that makes sense. Because if they're saying, well, I only see them this way, like you said, well, then the other person's not going to change, because where's the incentive? If they think that anything they do is going to be rejected to try and change, then where's the incentive to change? But if the person who's saying, well, you're always like this, or, you know, it's going to be like this forever, has been working on their own issues, chances are they're not going to be viewing their relationship, hopefully, so negatively, because they're going to see the positive in themselves, which will reflect outward.
Well, I was just about to say, I'm hoping that the person is changing not for their partner, but for themselves. Because if they're changing for their partner, that is not long-lasting and sustainable. After a while, they're going to revert back to what they know. But when you make a change from within for self, that is long-lasting, and that can be forever, with the understanding that you're still going to make another change as long as you're alive. Right? We tweak. We're not the same. I'm not the same person today that I was yesterday. Something happened today that changed me in some way, whether small or big. I'm not going to put a size on it, but there's a change. So people make changes for self, not for your partner.
Well, I think when someone is working on their own, you know, concerns, and they're starting to see the positive within themselves, within their own lives, I think that it's not forcing the other partner to change. But I think that with a lot of times partners, when they see the change in one another, they are willing to work on that concern, you know, and change themselves, because they want to be that better person for their partner. They want to be, you know, they want to go that extra mile. And within systemic therapy, we have something called first and second order change. And first order change is where there's a change to behavior, right? Maybe temporary, maybe long-term, it's usually temporary. Second order change, though, is where we look at how things within our environment can or cannot encourage us to change the patterns that we've fallen into, to change the behaviors that may be problematic within ourselves. And it's that second order change that's the long-lasting change, because somebody may have a spouse, okay, who's an alcoholic, and they go into recovery. And, you know, during the time they were drinking, maybe the other person was, you know, not very kind to them. When they see that partner recovering from alcohol abuse, that encourages them to want to be a better person also. So they take on that second order change, and they make changes to maybe like their pattern of communication and the way that they maybe follow their routine during the day to support their partner to maybe not drink.
Have you ever seen that backfire? And by backfire, I mean, so let's take your example of one partner is now a recovering alcoholic, and they've made changes in themselves, and the other partner sees this change. So I'm the alcoholic, Reg is my partner. Reg sees the changes that I'm making, and Reg now starts to change. But for me, it's too late, because I realize the fact that I've changed, that I never really was that into you. Have you ever seen that backfire in your practice?
I have, but I think it's more when it's been coupled with additional issues, right? I've had some people I've worked with that have been in a similar situation, and they have struggled to move past that because one person may be thinking, well, I'm committed to this, I'm making the change, I'm doing this. But the other person, because they've lived as that caregiver or enabler for so long, maybe then is struggling to see that they're actually committed to that change, which means what? They're not going to engage in changing their own behavior. And it can backfire because it can also, if they're not willing to change their own behavior, the person that is the recovering alcoholic can what? They can withdraw again, because for some people, it's what's the point in trying if I'm not getting any support in return?
This is super interesting for me because I have somebody typing, like I have people typing me separately. I'm not putting a lot of stuff on line because it's one specific person. I just love this. It's perspectives. My main part of what Raquel and I speak about a lot, and this is a part of me as a licensed social worker for so many years, that I have bumped up against. If we are not like taking responsibility and being accountable for ourselves, right, for our own, it's like one of the things that I've seen in many types of relationships is they start in couple, and like you said, it's individual, because you've got to get to the heart of your own matter, of your own thing, like Raquel's saying, like looking at that, like, what is it, like, if I'm a victim of something, now I'm not going to sit there and be like, and many people win, and I deserve this. I want to start healing for myself to realize that these patterns came from, like you said, a long time ago prior. And I really feel like the focus is on self, like in that self part of working within ourselves, knowing ourselves, grounding ourselves in our values, our belief systems. And many of us, sometimes we don't even know what we don't even know. I think couples stuff is really, or whoever it is, because it could be a boss. We're sitting here talking about a relationship, but I'm like, most of that stuff starts, like you were saying, like Raquel was saying, from the beginning of, like, when we're a kid. If we don't really get to the heart of a matter of us and really learn to anchor ourselves and our values and belief systems in us, everything at us is going to be this interesting struggle. And it's still to this day, like, this is what I tend to choose for myself personally and professionally my whole life. Constantly looking, at me, why relationships didn't work, why I got into relationships that were unhealthy, went into, couple counseling like that, but I had to go back to separating and getting supported in my way and healthy. Not all of them work. And some of them do once they get to know themselves, and then they get to come back in a different way that they can communicate. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Okay, great. So if you could share with everybody what you heard, because I'd be interested to hear what you said.
Well, I mean, as far as like when we're looking at, like the importance of individual therapy, like I've seen before, we can't look at repairing that relationship until we're working on individual things. And sometimes, sadly, those individual issues can end up where we have to transition away from like couples therapy to discernment counseling, which is basically where one partner will come in and they will say, yes, I want a divorce. And the other person will say, well, but I want to work on the relationship. And then it's a matter of, well, in order for that individual to heal fully, right, and to, heal within themselves, what is best for that individual and the couple? Maybe they can be on the same page working, towards the same goals, or maybe ultimately the best thing for both people in order to heal is to take the separate route and just, not necessarily get divorced, but maybe even separate for a while, work on their individual issues with their counselors and therapists, and then come back in.
All right, Rack, bringing it over to you because our time went through. It's like 30 minutes already. We're like, so much.
Caroline, let me ask you. You said I statements. Is there another technique that you can provide our audience with? Because let me tell you something, practicing those I statements. Yeah, sometimes I slip up. And what else? I'm gonna tell you the truth. I've tried the I statements. I said, I feel that you, and you hear my tone and my face and my eyes. I just that I statement. So how do we really and truly handle that? Because they all should be in sync. Because I'm gonna say when you did not help me, when you knew I needed that. Like that's done. I statement just went out the window, right? Yep. How do you recover from that? Or is there something else that we can do?
Well, I think so. When you find yourself getting really heated in an argument, right? The other advice I give to a lot of people, especially couples, is you need to find 2 separate places in your home. And what you need to do is separate for a predetermined time, whether it's 15 minutes, half an hour, or whatever. You need to take that time alone, respectively, to just gain your composure, calm down, maybe do some deep breathing, maybe read, listen to music. But the point is that if you allow your nervous system to be able to calm down, then you're going to be calm. And when you come back, you can maybe speak hopefully with a more level head and say, look, I just needed to pull back for a little bit. I'm sorry. I was just really upset in the moment. And I think a lot of times when couples do listen and they do take the extra time from one another, I always say, like if they're doing 15 minutes, I say, just look at the other person and say 15. And they will know that I need my space. I need to calm down. I need to think about, what I want to say before I actually say something. Okay. And that prevents defensiveness too.
Caroline, I took 14 years. No, I'm joking. To calm down. I'm joking. But this was really great. I really appreciate it. Caroline, if folks want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So I have got 2 of my websites. One is for my therapeutic activities. That's for the clinic that I work with, Black Falls Therapy and Wellness. So you can check in with me there. It's just Caroline at visitblackfalls.com. And for anyone who's interested in any kind of facilitation, mediation work, it's just Cuneo mediation at gmail.com.
Oh, I got to put that up there. Hold on, because we can just let her stand for a second. Look. So it's, what is it? www.cuneo.
Oh, no, it's that's my email. You can reach out to me through email at Cuneo mediation at gmail.
At gmail.com.
Yeah, because I didn't get that one, and I want to at least have that up there for a second. So Cuneo, let's just add that. Let's just show it. All right, so it goes Cuneo mediation at gmail.com. Yep. Okay, great.
Awesome. Yeah. Caroline, thank you so much. You guys, I statements, and let the other person know you just need about 14, 15, 16 years to.
You just need
about 15 minutes. We're going to go in separate rooms. And sometimes that's helpful when you can take that breath. And like Caroline was saying, when you can take a breath and you can just calm your nervous system, it can help. And if it didn't, and y'all got to get back together, say, listen, I'm going to need another 15 minutes.
Then you do that. That's what you do.
Okay. So hopefully this has helped, and you can take some of these techniques and put them into practice in your own life. Okay. We thank you so much, Caroline, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on Rise and Thrive Together. So much. We appreciate you so very much for doing that. Thank you definitely for joining us and for wrapping up, getting to the heart of the matter, because that's exactly what we did. And you got some techniques. Remember, you are never, ever, ever doing this alone, right? But until we meet again, until next time, we want you to stay grounded, stay curious, and keep choosing you. Take care.